Hello again, welcome back to lesson 4 in the Jacquin Fingerlock tutorial. I hope you've had a good chance to study lessons 1 to 3. I'm going to give you a quick recap and then we're going to get deep into the applications for this technique. So first off, we made some distinctions between instructions and suggestions. Suggestions being statements that essentially give an experience that things are happening, that you are responding to a greater or lesser degree automatically. I believe this to be the essence of all things hypnotic. In the second video, we spoke about the use of emotion, to propel things along, to change the way people think, how they evaluate what's happening. And I showed you a number of ways that we could spike emotion and elicit emotion. And then in the last video, we spoke in depth about testing your work, progressively testing, pressure testing, and how that can enable you actually to work your way through all of the different hypnotic phenomena, from physical phenomena to emotional phenomena to a challenge, and even into what I call cognitive phenomena that could involve things like hallucinations. Other things in that category would include amnesia, post-hypnotic suggestions, things like that. So today, imagining that you have this technique down now, let's talk about how you can apply it in different situations. Impromptu situations, stage situations, performance, and also in therapy. I want to show you exactly how my dad and I use this in real life therapy sessions with individuals and with groups. Finally, I'll show you how to turn this upon yourself as a kind of self-hypnosis exercise, or at least a piece of your self-hypnosis practice. Okay, so you're ready. So first off, let's talk about impromptu. I enjoy hypnotizing people in a anytime, kind of anywhere capacity. And I'll normally do that by engaging an individual or a group in these kind of exercises, like magnetic fingers, magnetic hands, light heavy arms. I normally do 1 or 2 of those things. But if I'm dealing with a small group or an individual actually, and we are doing the emotion piece perhaps, or we've done magnetic fingers, and I can see the whites of their knuckles, the whites of their finger beds, nail beds, and I'm kind of thinking they look pretty locked up already, then I may just go straight into the finger lock. Again, expanding the emotion piece and telling them they're stuck. Certainly with a group, I'll be happy to do that if I see those signs. And yeah, I may lose 2 out of 4 people in the group, or 3 out of 4. But even if one person is still stuck, so we've got to that point of progressively testing and they're now pulling, then I will often then just progress by moving this stuckness to other places. So you can try and pull them apart, find they're completely stuck and locked together. The harder you try, the tighter they stick. Put some effort in. You're a strong man. Pull as hard as you can. That's right. I know it's a strange feeling. Now, the really strange feeling is you're going to feel that stuck feeling spreading up your arms into your elbows. You can try and straighten your arms, find they're stuck fast. That's right. That same stuck feeling is spreading all the way down. Your body, your backside is stuck to the chair, your feet are stuck to the floor. You can try and stand up and find you cannot. Okay, so I'll extend the experience they're having of being stuck here down into their body. Now, the thing about sticking people to the chair, again, we also want to kind of, play, with all the advantages that we may have to enable that to happen. To get out of a chair, under normal circumstances, 3 things happen. You shift your feet backwards slightly. You may be, completely unaware that you do this, but it's likely you shift your feet back slightly. You put your hands down, like maybe on your lap, and you launch forward. You lean forward to kind of launch out of your chair, right? It's very rare that someone just kind of, raises up like a periscope or something. So if your hands are already in this position, then that's kind of one of those three things out of the way. If you're experiencing stuckness, and I suggest your backside is stuck to the chair and your feet are stuck to the floor, you may even overlook that you have the capacity to move them, to be honest. But if they're stuck to the floor, then that's like two of the three things out of the way that can enable you to get out of the chair. So all you've really got left is to launch yourself forward. And to be honest, most people don't want to do that. So they begin to kind of move, like feeling stuck, finding it extremely difficult. If you just try it right now, you're sitting in your chair, have your feet, slightly out in front of you, flat on the floor, put your hands in this position. Perhaps imagine there's like a little electric fence around your head, that kind of thing, keeping it in a certain area, and try and stand up. Just try and stand up right now. You'll find it extremely difficult to do so. So you'll see you would really have to launch to get out of there. So we can transfer this stuckness to being stuck to the chair. This is an extremely funny thing to do with a group or an audience, and I have a lot of fun with that. Another place where I can transfer this stuckness is to your mouth. So your hands are completely stuck. The harder you try and pull them apart, the tighter they stick. And you're going to feel that same stuck feeling now traveling up your elbows, into your shoulders, up into your mouth, and your name sticks to the end of your tongue. It's stuck to the end of your tongue. It just won't come out. The harder you try and say it, the more difficult it becomes. Even this is going to seem hilarious to you. It's like there's a little feather in there. You try and spit it out, it just won't come out. Try and say it. What's your name? What is your name? Is it a long name or a short name? So again, if people are here and they're emotionally involved in this, very often it gets to that point, they try and say their name and it just won't come out, right? So it's not amnesia, we haven't made them forget it, but we can do the same kind of routine. We can display it in the same way. What's your name? Seriously, I'm Anthony. You are? Is it a long name or a short name? You know his name, right? They'll typically just say that person's name. What was your name? And it will be stuck. All right. So again, can it be breached? Of course it can, but more often than not, you are going to get a result with that. If someone can do stuck here, they can imagine it elsewhere. I'm sure you can think of other ways you could play with that. So they're the two kind of variations I normally do in an impromptu situation. Let's now talk about using this on stage in a performance setting. And if I am doing stage hypnosis, fairly traditional, I'm going to invite people up from the audience, they're going to sit in a row of chairs and get hypnotized, then this technique is my selection procedure. A selection procedure, if you don't know, is a way of essentially extracting people from the audience. And there are different ways to do it. You can do a big invite up and then gradually filter on stage and send people back. You can test the audience, give them a couple of experiences and invite people up who want to go further. Or you can push it a little harder. I don't want to be too coercive, but lock people's hands together in the audience and say, come up on stage and I will unstick them for you. And that's kind of the way I normally go. So typically on stage, especially if I've got a large audience, I just do one test. And it's this. It's the Jacquin Fingerlock. So I present it in this way. I point at the chairs and say, in a short while, a number of you will be sitting in these chairs in a profound state of hypnosis that you are going to enjoy. I guarantee you will feel great when you leave the stage at the end of the night. But before we do that, I want to give all of you an experience of what it's like to harness your concentration and your imagination in this way. I'm not going to hypnotize you yet, but I'm going to show you something and I guarantee it will make you feel good. So everybody get on your feet. Okay, so I encourage everyone to get on their feet. It's not really an opt-in situation. I guess someone could choose to opt out and sit down, but they would feel rather odd doing that when everyone else is on their feet. So if they can stand, I ask everyone to stand up. I say, now I'm going to show you something now, as I said. I guarantee you this is going to make you feel good. And this is something that you'll be able to do later on, something you could do on your friends. Even the kids can do this one, right? So I'm making these statements because, again, I want curiosity, I want them to be engaged, I want them to be involved. And in my experience, everyone loves to learn the extra thing, the cool thing, the bar trick, the thing they may be able to do on a friend later on. So this generally gets everyone's attention. My show is a family show, so if there are children present, sometimes there are. If it's a corporate gig, normally there isn't. But if there are, so even the kids can do this one. It disarms the audience. They step into this. So obviously, if you're under 18 in the UK, then you shouldn't be allowed up on stage. That's just the law. So I promised them it's going to make them feel good. I'm going to show them something. I do the full exercise, hands together, bend, fingers, touching, motion, thinking of a loved one. I do the full progressive test that we outlined in lesson 3. Yeah. And when they get to the point of opening their eyes and looking at their hands as if they're somebody else's hands, I immediately go into, come up on stage, I will unstick them for you. Come up, come up, come up. Do not come up here if you just want to challenge me, but if you want to have this experience, come on up. You don't have to stay on stage, come up. There's this lovely line in the Encyclopedia of Stage Hypnosis by Orman McGill, where he points out that the people that you want on stage are the people who are responding to your suggestions. They're already responding to your suggestions, therefore suggest that they come on up and do that repeatedly. And up they come. Now, many people will approach the stage like this. For some, unless you've made it explicitly clear, they will kind of think this is done and they'll get their hands apart as they come up. So it's up to you how you want to manage that. It doesn't matter if their hands have come apart. They've already had the experience. But I'm generally pretty clear about it, and I get numbers of people coming on stage. They're looking for help. They don't know what to do next, right? So that is my selection procedure on stage. My view is that if you're walking up on stage and your hands are stuck, you're already hypnotized, certainly meeting my definition, which is you're responding to my suggestions. Automatically, you're experiencing things as happening. You're having non-volitional responses. So yes, what follows, the actual hypnotizing bit, the induction, it's just more of the same, really. It's just another bunch of suggestions. I don't really see any clear division between what happens before the induction itself and what happens after. It's all one continuous progressive game, right? And you're already in it when you walk up on stage like this, even if you don't think it started yet. So that's how I use it as a selection procedure on stage. In other demonstrations where I'm talking about hypnosis and hypnotherapy or self-hypnosis, I will give everyone this experience, and perhaps rather than eliciting emotion via a loved one, I will elicit emotion via a goal, something you would love to achieve, love to do. And I'll show you how to do that when we talk about self-hypnosis in just a few moments. Now let's talk about using this therapeutically. My dad and I will typically use this at some point in almost every single first session, and certainly in group sessions. That's where the inspiration came for me, was seeing my dad deliver this to 200 people, and 200 out of 200 raise their hands in the air stuck. Even when he said unstick them, I had to go round putting my hand on people's shoulder and unsticking them. I was like the assistant. So that was when I really realized the power of this and how much stronger it is than the traditional hand lock, which I'd learned studying stage hypnosis and used, and light, heavy arms, which, although I love both these things, they just don't have as much value for me as this one. So in therapeutic situations, we can use this for a number of reasons. One is we can use it to illustrate a point, right? We may be making a point about, the language you use to talk to yourself, or the battle between your will and your imagination in a Emile Coué sense. It may be, whatever you imagine has the potential, to become your reality, simply because your brain is going to kind of head in that direction. So maybe you want to take control of some of that inner dialogue, when you're looking in the mirror and you're running yourself down or telling yourself you can't do something. Let me show you something, right? So if I'm making a general point, I can then often illustrate it with this exercise, okay? As if, doing the Jacquin Fingerlock illustrates, there you go. There's what happens when you imagine particular things. You imagine your fingers are magnets and your body responds. You imagine they're stuck, you can't pull them apart. Where else are you feeling stuck? And are you really stuck? So something like that. On a kind of heavier level, let me just talk about our quit smoking protocol now, which again, some of you may have studied. It's inside the Jacquin Hypnosis Academy. My dad and I have seen tens of thousands of smokers individually and in groups. And we believe that many smokers hold one or more of the following beliefs when they come in. One is a belief, I can't do it. I've tried to quit. I don't have enough willpower. I've tried 20 times and I can't go a day without a cigarette. They have a belief they can't do it. That's pretty big. That needs to change. They have a belief that they are physically addicted to nicotine. That is their problem, and therefore it will be difficult to quit. It will be painful. There will be side effects. My view is that regardless of the effects of the poison nicotine, that their problem is mostly one of habit and association, and that they need to kind of update their beliefs about the nature of this problem, and it's going to be easier to shift. The third belief is smoking does something for me. It relaxes me, it helps me think, it helps me concentrate, it enables me to X, Y, and Z. Again, there's more often than not nothing in a cigarette that helps you relax. There's nothing in a cigarette that makes you better at concentrating than a non-smoker, better at problem solving, more sociable, or any of these things. But we can hang values on this habit, or any other habit, of course. So I want to change that. But let's come back to the first one. I can't do it, right? So my dad and I have it's a pretty brutal way of crashing through this first belief. Imagine the tabletop is the problem and the legs of that table are the supporting beliefs. The more of them we break, the more wobbly that problem's going to be, that structure's going to be. It's going to be easier for us to blast our way through it. So I'll typically be doing my questions and my discussion pretty early on in the session. And I'll say this. So if you went to the doctor today and the doctor just said quit smoking or you're going to die, would you quit immediately? Now, very rarely does someone say yes. I know it sounds crazy, but very rarely, if I use the word, you go to the doctor, kind of casually, you go to the doctor just says quit smoking or you're going to die, would you quit immediately? People say things like, I'd hope so, probably. I don't know, I may have one to get over the stress of the news, to be honest. Or, no, he said that, didn't make any difference. Rarely does someone say yes. I've seen thousands of smokers, maybe had a dozen who said yes. That's in 20 years. So they say something, probably, I'd hope so. I say, let's try something. Put your hands out in front of you, clasp them tight. Bend your elbows, first fingers up an inch apart. Look at the gap between them, they will touch. When they touch, close your eyes. Go out into a fantasy, think about the person who is dearest to you. If there's more than one, see more than one. See their eyes, see them smiling, hear their voice, hear them laughing. Feel what you feel for them. And that's right, really enjoy those feelings. Feel what you feel for them, feel what they feel for you. Now, when you're ready to make the decision to be a non-smoker, open your eyes. Right? So I don't bother with the whole challenge piece personally. There's no need. I just say, open your eyes. They open their eyes and I say this without missing a beat. You go to the doctor and the doctor says to you, quit smoking or that person will die immediately. You would quit, would you not? Pretty close to 100% of people say yes. Not only do they say yes, they give me an emphatic yes, to the point I can say, are you certain? And they say yes. And I'll say something like, well, this is a brilliant decision for you. This decision you're making fundamentally affects that person. It fundamentally affects the people you care about. I don't mean passive smoking. I mean the fact that there are certain things only you are going to say to that person, only certain things you're going to do for that person. You're going to walk out of here today as a non-smoker. Anyone ever offers you a cigarette, you'll be able to smile and say, no thanks, I don't smoke. That will be a fantastic feeling, will it not? And they agree it will. I say, well, I'm going to explain why it's been difficult to do in the past, and I'm going to explain why it's going to be easy for you to do today. And we move on. We correct the second and third belief. We queue up the session, okay? So again, that is straight out of my dad, Freddie Jacquin's playbook. We've been delivering that piece in quit smoking sessions for years. It's profound, it's powerful, it often gets emotion, there's often tears, but emotion is welcome, remember, you understand why. So that's kind of how I'd use it in that situation. On a personal level, you know, I am an advocate of building your own self-hypnosis protocols. I don't think we need to create recordings and go and listen to them, you know, like creating a little disembodied hypnotist. The way I teach people hypnosis is to, you know, give them experience. If I'm working with them in this way, give them an experience of something like this, okay, like ideomotor movement, and teach them individual protocols and things like the arrow, things like parts, things like the rewind, having dialogue with themselves, using the 3-step reframe, the swan, all of this kind of stuff. Just go to work, like literally just run the tools upon yourself. So let's do the exercise one more time, and then if you're on our mailing list, the Jacquin Hypnosis Academy, you will receive an email tomorrow with a registration link to a free training, excuse the dog, with a free training. I'm going to take you through this in a brief but intensive workshop where we're going to pair up and practice. Ensure that you've got this before that's finished so you can go out and apply it immediately. All right, so sit comfortably, place your feet flat on the floor out in front of you one more time. Relax your spine, your shoulders. Take a nice deep breath in. Breathe out and just relax. I'm going to show you how to use this as a self-hypnosis tool. You could be doing this anytime. You don't need the words. You literally just use your imagination. Put your arms out in front of you now, about shoulder height. Clasp your hands together. Bend your elbows like you're making a desperate prayer. Palms together, thumbs crossed. First fingers up an inch apart. Now don't look at me, look at the gap between your fingers. They will touch. That's right, just like magnets, they're going to touch. And when they touch, close your eyes. Close your eyes now, squeeze tight. Go out into a fantasy. And this time I want you to think about something you would love to do, something you would love to achieve. A personal goal. It may be a business goal, a fitness goal. It could be a hypnosis goal. And you may go through different ideas before you settle on one. Think of one thing you would love to do, you would love to achieve. Get a sense of yourself there. If you can see yourself, or even see what you would see if you can drop into your body there. Hear what you would hear knowing you've achieved this, and feel what you feel. You've done it. You're there. Enjoy those feelings. Notice where those feelings are. That expansive feeling of knowing you did this. That's right. And again, as you feel that and as you listen to me, imagine those fingers are sticking and locking together like one solid unit. And when you're feeling that, raise your hands a little higher. And I want you to drift out of your body in that scene and see yourself there being the person you want to be, having achieved that goal. I want you to look back to now, like a line of time. Look back to now at the steps you took along the way, the milestones that took you there, the contingencies you put in place, the skills you picked up along the way, the decisions you made, the wins that you made. That's right, all the way back now to the very first step that sends you on that journey. It may just be a commitment. And when you see that first step and you are ready to commit, just nod your head so that I understand. Again, hold on to these good feelings, because from today, this is going to be easy for you. You're going to be on that path. It's like you can see the flag at the top of the mountain. And even if you need to take a detour from side to side at times, you just keep your eye on that outcome. You will move in that direction. You'll recognize the opportunities that come your way. The decisions you make, the choices you take will make this easy. Now take a nice deep breath. That's right, breathe out any tension, let go of any doubt. Let your hands drift down and just open your eyes for me. Excellent. So there you go, guys. That is, just about as deep and as detailed as I can take you on this one tiny little piece, the Jacquin Fingerlock. This is not a playground trick. Although you can have a lot of fun with it, you can use this to change lives, to change your own. It's a way of engaging in this game of imagination and suggestion, a game that ultimately creates your personal reality. So if you've enjoyed this training, then I'd encourage you to get on our newsletter list. That just basically means go to JacquinHypnosisAcademy.com. There's an opt-in at the bottom of the homepage. Check out our offering. We are now providing all of our live courses, some of which used to cost thousands of pounds, literally like over $3,000 for our professional hypnotherapy diploma. All of that stuff is now included in the cost of membership, which at the max is going to cost $365 a year. That will include a 50-hour live online training, plus a bunch of other courses in the Arrow or Modern Hypnotism Workshop. And it will also include full access to all of our hypnosis training courses, our video courses, again, many of which sold for hundreds and hundreds of pounds or dollars. So go check it out. If you have questions about this technique, let me know. If you've enjoyed it, leave a comment, all of that kind of good stuff. Hope to catch up with you sometime in the near future. Take care.